Hey, I'm in the hospital. I don't know the date. Let's see. The 23rd, February. I came in February 5th. I did get out for 2 days. But I feel like maybe I spent 2 weeks in here with a dull spoon digging my way out. And I finally was on the lam, and the warden showed up 2 days later in an ambulance and dragged me back. I'm at St. Raphael's, which is part of Yale New Haven. In New Haven, I'm on Main 6, which I guess is surgical recovery floor, one of them. I don't know, I'm on the top floor. Here for the snowstorm. Got a little snow yell to cheer up the staff and be excited for the snow. I have a million messages to reply and things to put out and lessons to provide and all that. Yes. But, so my focus has been elsewhere. So thanks for all the well wishes and support, and I mean really, and sorry for the lack of responses from me. I'm trying to update a few people who will then update the larger group. So if you want to be looped into them, maybe you can let me know and I'll try and get you on their text chain. But I'm trying to just loop in like 2 people every day with like all the details, like full transparency, and then let them share as they like. Quite low blood pressure a few minutes ago. That gave me quite concern. The staff doesn't seem concerned, but 97/62. When they put me in the ambulance, it had been, I forgot now, but 102/70. And then a few minutes later, it was, let's say, 95/60. And they're like, oh, you're going right now. You're not even, we can't even get you out of the hospital. We're stopping you somewhere else. And you might have to get blood, and I don't know. So, but I got my exercise done overnight and this morning, and again just now. I think it's probably around noon. My plan today is to take a shower, and I have a book of poetry, and maybe I'll end up writing a bit if I'm brought into that poetic mode. Having really wonderful experiences with every single staff member. So basically, I came in to have my whole front line opened back up from the prior liver and bowel surgery, and then sort of repaired, basically, because all the previous sites of surgery were herniating. And the basic problem, I guess, with the hernia is that your intestines go through that hole in the tissues, and then they get strangled or twisted or bound or basically obstructed. And then it's like, my understanding, like super emergency, like on the order of a heart attack, like rush you to the place, you could die, and also a whole lot of pain. So that was kind of my general understanding. So they did that, and they seemed to think that that went well, and in terms of they didn't leave any gauze or scissors in me, and no infection, I didn't have any pain from it. Like, it seemed like the surgery went well, but from all appearances it was taking my bowels a long time to wake up and show action, and so they're not going to let me go home. And that's called ileus. And apparently, the more often the bowels are handled, I guess through surgery, the more likely you will have ileus, or maybe the more severe or long-lasting it might be. I'm not quite sure. But basically, ileus is more of a concern if you've had it before. So now I've had it again. But anyway, I finally got home, but it seemed a bit sketchy. Sketchy meaning, like, some people were thinking, are you sure you're going home? And some people were like, I think you can go home. It wasn't like this universal, yeah, you should have left yesterday. But anyway, of course, I was happy to get home. And apparently what was happening during those 2 weeks in the hospital, 13 days, I think, was that all the scar tissue was forming. Sorry. From the surgery, and then that scar tissue, which I guess they can't predict, quite know, how it'll be, when it'll be, where it'll be, what it'll do, but essentially, the scar tissue forming isn't in and of itself a problem, but it can form in a way that creates new problems, such as obstructing the bowels, strangling them, compressing them, causing them inflammation. So I think the understanding is that basically while I was kind of healing, right, I was healing, but maybe not just healing. That's why the very anemic this. The scar tissue was forming and creating this new problem, which is basically the same problem I was currently trying to recover from. So one of the things I noticed, and I don't know how long this video will be, it could walk in any moment, you might already know this, I'm sorry, I'm just going to babble. I think I went home on Wednesday, but on Monday when I was walking, I started to notice I was like, just like a little kind of woozy, wobbly. I noticed like when I was walking, I wouldn't necessarily track exactly where I meant to go. I could go like a little this way, a little that way. I felt like a little unsteady, and definitely in the brain, especially with turn my head, I felt like, whoa, okay. I don't know if it's a low blood sugar, dehydration, low blood pressure, or, something. And I mentioned it here in the hospital, and they didn't address it, which is not me complaining. I think they were probably addressing much more important things. They certainly noted it, and, we discussed it. Anyway, so I'm home Wednesday. I'm going to guess maybe it's Thursday now. And I think, well, I'm home. I don't think I'm feeling a lot better. I might be feeling a little worse. Maybe this is what feeling better looks like, and it's slow, and I don't really know. But I'm certainly happy to be home. And I got to see a few students. That was really nice. So I thought, how do I start addressing this woozy wobbly thing? Maybe it's a whole new condition. I just don't. Maybe it's neurological. I don't know. So I write to my GP, and I say, I'm sure you've seen my whole chart. You know what I've been through recently, but there's this issue, which I don't know if it's in the chart or not, but I assume it is. But anyway, from my mouth to your ears, here's my experience. And so I basically said, here's my experience. Is this something I see you for? Are you where I start? And I figured he might email back and say, no, go to your surgeon, or go to a neurologist, or I don't know, something, or drink more salts, or I don't know. And he said, you should see me today. Here's 2 choices. I took the earliest choice. We went in, which was really nice. I don't think I've had more than one non-well visit, like unscheduled kind of, visit, but that was really good. That's Dr. Rubenstein in Westbrook. I wasn't able to see the doctor. They told me I'd see the APRN. I said, great. I didn't happen to know this APRN. I guess she's been there for a long time with him, but just hasn't intersected with me. And I was like, I'm perfectly fine. Like, I really trust the office. So I was sitting on the exam table, and at some point she knocked and she opened the door, never having met me. she opened the door and she says, "You look like this is a hospital situation." Like, that's the first thing she said to me. She's 3 feet from me. And I thought, okay, that's a great assessment, because, you know, I'm inclined to trust your experienced gut, you know. And then, of course, she did an intake and an assessment and, an exam, of course. And then she said, look, I worked at the emergency room for 14 years, and I'm not really sort of reactive in sending people to the ER from here. But this is an ER thing. So I said, all right, how do we do that? And it turns out the ambulance comes and gets you like right out of the exam room, and then you're in the hospital. So that was really good. I didn't end up seeing the doctor there, but I feel like I got stellar care. Like it's fine. I know he was trying to get over to see me, but I think maybe the ambulance got there first, and they're not going to hold things up. So then there's some talk about where I'm actually going to go, and I could weigh in on that, because they really wanted to get me somewhere very close to get me stabilized first, because I guess my vitals were not looking good. And eventually they stabilized enough, I guess. They were something like 95-70, my BP, as I recall. Right. Maybe 98-70 by the time I was in the ambulance. And so I said, look, I'd really like to head back here to St. Raphael's, where I know my surgeon is and will see me. Maybe we can just check my vitals regularly on the ambulance trip, and if something argues for stopping somewhere else sooner, like, great. I'm not going to be recklessly insistent. Anyway, I made it all the way to the emergency department. And then, like, rather soon after, they were wheeling me into surgery. I mean, it wasn't lingering. I mean, maybe 40 minutes or something in the ER. And a lot of that was like, meet the anesthesiologist and sign this and give blood and start an IV and talk about the plan. I wasn't like just kind of a lump there waiting for something to happen. And my surgeon was here. I don't know how that happened, if it just worked out or he got called away, or I don't really know how that works, but certainly I was exceedingly excited to see my surgeon here. And he said, well, he explained the whole scar tissue, and we can't image it, so I'm gonna laparoscopically go in and see what we see and fix what we can fix, basically. So they went in 6 places, 6 times. So the sad news is I won't have a 6-pack because he punctured all of them. Obviously, I'm known for my 6-pack, but I'll have to be known for something else. Basically, my understanding is they just use scissors to cut a bunch of scar tissue. No cautery, I think. There was a lot more to do, but the surgeon told me later that it was unsatisfying for a surgeon because there was more work to do. But the more work he did, the more at risk I was. You can only mess around in there so long before you gotta close me up, I guess, and maybe having to do with my vitals or something. But, he certainly prioritized what to do. So, the 18th, so was that like the 20th or something, ish? And I already forgot what date I said it is today, but anyway, that's how long I've been here, which is, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and today, or something like that. So basically now I'm kind of back in that same place as I was after the first planned surgery, which is you have to have your bowels wake up before they let you go home. And especially for me, it's like a very slow, conservative, we're not pushing it kind of situation. And I'm fine with that. But it still means I'm like still here, and kind of quite slow. But every day I'm walking a lot. I haven't missed a day doing my form, my Tai Chi practice. I'm stretching when I'm in bed. Haven't turned the TV on once. I'm doing everything I'm told. Taking the advice of everybody that's here, trying to help everybody have a wonderful experience with me. I guess that's the update. Barely Bear is here with me. I suppose he should make an appearance if it's a health video. He's certainly been here the whole time and still smiling. Yeah? Are you doing good? Yeah? Yeah. And the whole staff is very excited to see Barely Bear and checks on him. They put him on the scale yesterday to check his weight. Keep practicing. I have no doubt that I'm way behind on my duties to you, to your students. Obviously, I intend to catch up and make up and get back on track, but obviously the focus here has to be what it is. Hopefully you're all taking care of each other and practicing and inspiring each other, and particularly in light of the snowstorm, helping each other out and being prudent and slow and wise and not inviting injury. So look after your art, look after your neighbor, and I guess that's all I have for you. I know that's not an awful lot, but I apologize. I haven't done much in the way of any updates. Maybe I posted a picture or two, but the current state on my phone is there are 622 messages, 914 voicemails, and probably emails and everything else, but I can't really individually do it. So thank you for your continued support. This is not me asking for support. This is just me updating. And this morning they disconnected me from everything, so I'm off all the connecting tubes, at least for now. They still have plans to surgically install another tube. Actually, I still have a tube in my belly draining stuff from the surgery, but it's quite short, so it's not like on an IV pole. So I could do the form a short while ago without sort of any, entanglements. Okay. Love. Thanks. Feel free to share this or any other news if you like. Much love.